Welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We are going to get started in a couple minutes. We just have a couple of people that are coming in and joining us right here. So stick around. We'll start in 2 minutes. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We have a couple more people coming in. So we're going to wait 1 more minute and then we will get started. Thank you so much for joining. All right. Well, welcome to our Power Hour called Beginner's Guide to Build Insights with Power BI Templates. I am so excited for everyone to be here for our Power Hour. If you don't know me already, I'm Kristen Castayola, Syncro's CTO, and I'm super excited about all of the things we're going to be able to cover today. Right before we start, I just wanted to remind everyone and let everyone know of all of the great things that we have going with the Power Hours and other things that we've released recently, including our Syncro Cloud Backup. We just had a webinar recently about Syncro Cloud Backup, which we'll put in the chat. So if you wanted to check it out, please do. We have, I would say, one of the best cloud backups in the whole space. And so check it out, do a free trial, see what all the hype and how integrated it is, see what it's all about. But on to why we are really here today. And this is our Power Hour series that we've had. Our goal with the Power Hours is to give you a live series on getting practical real world guidance from a lot of our experts here at Syncro. We wanted to make sure that you have direct access to the people that are building the features that we're working on and the actual details that go in it. Sometimes you'll see that we'll do very specific tutorials and we'll splice them up so that you can actually take real world examples of the things that we've done and then implement them in your Syncro instance. Sometimes it might mean that you have your Syncro instance open next to you and maybe you'll be working on it directly as we do. Please feel free to do that today if you'd like, as we're talking through Power BI templates. And like I said, this is all about building templates with Power BI and building better reporting and getting better insights into your data from your Syncro instance. We're going to walk through why we created them, how to get started, all of the step-by-steps instructions, and then the pieces around customizing them so that you can understand your data, your Syncro data. And this will all work even if you're totally brand new to Power BI. So we'll include some links for how you can download Power BI Desktop and or how you can use Power BI directly. So we'll cover all of those pieces. I'm super excited the group that we have with us. We have Vance, Chen, and Daniel who are here. They're going to do all of the big picture. They're going to do a walkthrough. You'll see a full demo end to end of all of our Power BI templates and a bunch of details, and they're going to answer any questions that you might have. So please make sure that you use the Q&A module. It will help us just keep track of questions. We'll have time at the end to answer a bunch of questions, and we'll potentially answer them throughout, depending on how they come in. And then this, of course, will be available as a recording within the community and with some other key takeaways and follow-ups if there's anything that we've missed. All right, so that's it from me. Let's actually get into the details, and I'm going to pass it over to Vance, who's going to start us off.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Kristen. I appreciate that. So yeah, we're super excited to get into this today and walk you all through our Power BI template hub. Just a really quick agenda before we get started. We're going to give you an introduction to our Power BI Template Hub, go over why we decided to go this route with it, walk you through the individual templates so you're familiar with what we have available. And then the majority of the time today, we're going to work with Daniel. I'm sure most of you are all familiar with at this point. He's very active in our community. He's done a lot of work with Power BI and has some really cool ways and some tips to get the most out of our template hub. So we'll walk through that, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. And as Kristen said, please feel free to drop your questions into the Q&A module so we can work on answering those for you. But so with that, let's get started. So last year we started an initiative to look at our reporting in Syncro, look for ways that we could optimize and make things better for you all. We took in a lot of feedback. We did some partner interviews and sent out a survey. We really wanted to get to an understanding of how our partners are using our reporting, um, what goals and what challenges you're facing, and what you're trying to use reporting and the data to help you solve, and how we can improve and make our reports better so that way you're more able to handle those questions and solve those problems. A lot of the feedback that we heard from you all was around customization. So, it's one thing to have the data, but we got a lot of responses and a lot of feedback about needing to be able to do more with the data and needing to be able to customize the data in ways that fit specific use cases and specific challenges. And so being able to have a platform to be able to make those customizations was a big thing up on the list. Data-driven insights was another thing that we heard a lot of, a need to be able to use data to make those business decisions. So how are we doing on tickets? How are our technicians performing? How are we doing financially as a business? All of these things, we were hearing a need for more insights in ways to help us make those decisions and help run our businesses more efficiently. And that goes hand in hand with the last point here was dashboards, right? Helping us have visualizations that really help explain the data. I don't have to go digging for it. I have a nice dashboard and a nice view that explains where we are at any given point to help us make those business decisions. And so what we decided to do was, first of all, we were looking at our existing reports to find ways that we can make some optimizations. So I think to this point, we've released 6 enhancements to our existing reports. That's an ongoing initiative that we're going to continue um, as far as finding ways that we can make the reports more valuable for you. And then we really wanted to lean in and leverage the power of Power BI, if you will, to help with the visualizations and the customization options. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chen, who's going to walk you through an introduction to the Power BI Template Hub and what we have available today. So Chen, take it away.
Thank you, Vance. Hi, everyone. I'm Chen. I'm product manager at Syncro. I want to do an overview of the Power BI Template Hub. So it is a set of 5 pre-built dashboards that connect to your Syncro data via API. The idea is quite simple. Instead of building reports from scratch or having to become an expert of utilizing Power BI, these dashboards can get you insight about your business faster. And we also included a community post, and you can check out the chat for the link. This is where you can download the templates in the PBIX file format, and then we'll be keep updating it. So if you're going to be utilizing these dashboards, I suggest you bookmark the link. Next. So as I mentioned, there are 5 dashboards to this file. So I want to give an overview of each of these dashboards and kind of like the purpose of each of these. So the first one is an executive summary. So think about it as that big picture view. This is where you go to answer, how is my business doing overall? And then next, we have a customer work profitability dashboard. This is about answering which customers are actually profitable and which ones are just burning my technician hours. And next up, we have an asset overview dashboard, and this is all about your devices and endpoints that you manage, what assets you have, what they look like, where there might be risks. And then we also have an overview on tickets. This is about support overload workload, what tickets are coming in, what tickets are getting resolved, and what's piling up, essentially. And then last but not least, we also have a technician performance dashboard, and this is about your team and understanding who is doing what work, how is work being distributed among the team, and where they are spending most of their time. And then Together, these dashboards help you understand your business, your customers, and your team without having to becoming a reporting expert. And then I will hand over to Daniel to do a demo.
All right. Hello, everybody. So I'm going to go through the whole initial setup and then walk you through the major points of how to utilize the template in Power BI. Now, before I share my screen, I would like to stop and pause a second and emphasize that this isn't the first time or only time we have to, this isn't not the only time we have to do this. It's just the first time. If you have questions, you want, how do I do this? How do I do that? Join the community. Make sure you're asking. You can at me. You can email me. So I think we really want this to be interactive. We want people to give feedback. We already had some great feedback, I think last week or the week before, which we already implemented in the last release. So please feel free to ask us questions about this as I go along. Now, there is potentially, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. There is some potential setup involved. So even though I am going to go slow, don't worry if you fall behind a little bit. You'll be able to catch up, no problem. So I believe I'm sharing my screen. Is that correct? Yeah. So to start, our first step is we're going to need to create the API key in order to plug into Power BI. So in your Syncro account, you're going to navigate to Admin, scroll down to the bottom, find API, tokens. I see I have a number of them here. New token. We're going to go Power BI from the already pre-built list. Click Create Token. You don't have to change any permissions. If you want to change the name, that's fine. All right, so here's my test token. I'm going to go ahead and copy it to my clipboard, and we're going to then use this to plug into the template. So I'm going to go ahead and click Done. To navigate to the template, we're going to go through the community. So you need to find the question mark up by your name, top right. Find the Syncro community. And now if you haven't been in the Syncro community before, it might ask you to verify your email. It's just a first time step. After you've done that, as long as you're logged into Syncro, it's just a single sign-on. So in case you reach that step. Once we're here, though, we want to click Categories in the middle of the page. We're going to look for Power BI template. Here's the Power BI template hub. You'll have the latest version is 1.3. Go ahead, click that. Should be at the top here. I'm going to scroll up to the top, and then I'm going to download the file. Cool. So here we go. Then you're going to open the Power BI file. I'll open it up on a different screen, so give me 1 second. All right, here we go. So it does load some of the test data to start with. And what our first step is, we need to change it for your data. So we need to go to the Power Query section, and we're going to look for the Transform Data button right here. This will open up another window. All right. And the first thing you're going to need to change is these top 3 parameters. For first, you want your Syncro subdomain. So here, you want to change it. Don't use mine or the test account here. Use yours. So type yours in. Here's where where you copy that API key that you just created. This is where you're going to paste that new API key. Now I'm going to make a slight adjustment to show you a potential troubleshooting step. But hopefully it makes sense here. And then for days back, this parameter is mostly for the invoice and ticket charge queries, which are quite heavy. If you have a lot of Syncro data, potentially if you're trying to do like half a year, a whole year of data, it could take 8-9 minutes to load all that data. So that's really what the days back variable's for. Definitely recommend something like 60 or 30 to start. Once you're kind of comfortable with how to navigate, where to go, you can increase this later on. Once you've put your data in the parameters here, you can actually view the preview the different data tables by clicking here. Now I did this on purpose here because I did want to show this. If you do get this error message, this is because your API key is either expired, pasted incorrectly, don't have the right permissions, or your subdomain's wrong, right? So we're going to click Edit Credentials. You might actually get this Access Web Content. If this is the first time you've ever done it anyways, it wouldn't have the error, but you could just click Connect. So if you get this is some of the tickets or support I've seen on this is they're like, not sure what to do. This is okay, just click Connect. But I'm gonna go ahead and fix my error. But with this all good, there you go. So this might be a little bit what you get, Access Web, that's fine. If you get it a couple of times, that's also okay, just click Connect. And then you should be able to see your data preview load into the Power Query section. If you click a table, you can actually see bottom right here. So I know it's a little small, but you can see how it's pulling in my data. And I see it's working here. And there we go, voila. So you can click through some of these. Again, depending on how much you have, could take a second or two to load. Now, there's a couple of points I want to talk about Power Query section before we dive into the report view. We tried to make this easy to understand the data, did a lot of data transformation, make it easy to understand. If you're interested in saying, well, how did you get the data in this format? Whichever table you're in or looking at, you come over here to this right side to applied steps. You can actually kind of navigate backwards and see how that data was transformed. This is just to let you kind of know how this Power BI works. You don't really have to know how to change this, but something that's interesting here. Let's take active duration. When I actually do a change, and I'll move it, it's going to record all the steps that you do here in the table. All right. You can also use the advanced editor if you're more interested in coding some aspects of the data transformation. And we did try to make it easy to understand how the data was transformed, and this should also correlate with the applied steps over here. All right. Now, next thing I want to show is actually how you can do your own little data transformation. I think this is a fun little example, but let's see, I'm looking at my ticket timers here. And when I look at active duration, this is in seconds. Well, okay, that's fine, but really I think it makes more sense for me for minutes. Well, how can I get Power BI to do this for me without having to know the formula or enter any code? All right, so I'm going to select the column I'm interested in, which it's already selected. I'm going to right click. I'm going to add a brand new column from example. And I don't have to know any code. All I have to do is give it the final value of what I actually want it to do. So I can see this is what I've selected. I'll do some easy mental math here. So for this one, I want it in minutes, so that would be 5, right? And then usually when you give it 2 or 3, it's going to be able to do this for you. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one. Okay, and this one's a nice, easy mental math one. So this should be 10. And there you go. Power BI automatically recognized the pattern for me. If it didn't quite get it the first time, you could have done another one. Usually gets it. Here's the formula it found, so I can validate, yep, that's exactly what I want. And let's actually change this name. So I'm going to go active duration minutes, and we'll actually use this a little bit later. Click OK. Cool. So now I have a brand new column, and it did a calculation for me. Didn't have to know any code at all. All right, almost about to jump into the reporting section. I do want to call out one last section, this optional section bottom left. Now, these tables are for invoicing and ticket charges. Not everyone uses invoices and ticket charges. Maybe you want someone who just wants to look at the other parts of the app, or you're not using that for whatever reason. These are heavier on the API calls, and if your template does take a long time to load, it's most likely either your days back is way too long, or there's a ton of invoices, line items, and ticket charges it's trying to calculate. So this one is optional. You can obviously just make a file of the copy of this Power BI file, but you can delete, and you can also turn off by right-clicking on the tables, and you can not include this, or you can just delete it as well. So these are optional, just to let you know why these are grouped different. But let's jump into the report section. So I'm going to close. I'm going to come up here, top left, close and apply. And now this is where, depending on your account and how much data you have, this could take a minute or two. And I'll go slow here for everybody to catch up. But you see it's querying my Syncro account. It's going to actually try to, you'll see how much data it's actually trying to pull. But this process can take a few minutes. While it loads here, first I want to look at just the navigation of this part of the Power BI app. There's 3 important buttons here on this left. We're going to look through on the right. And then our dashboard navigation is here at the bottom, right? So I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. Here's your different dashboards. We'll click through them together. On the left-hand side, these top three are the most important, I guess, buttons or icons. So obviously this is the report visualization view. If you want to see your data in the table format, and we'll see why this is important in an example later on, that's the data table view. And I can see my different data tables and click through them here. So here, if I want to click through the different data, see what it looks like, that's how you do it. And lastly, though, this one, you just need to know about it. You don't have to actually make many changes here, but this is the model view. Make sure I get the right name. This is showing the relationship between the table. It will automatically build the relationship for you correctly. I know it does look a little intimidating. You can reorganize this, move them around, right, left, drag and drop. You can see the relationship. Again, you don't have to do much here, but if you're starting to customize on your own, adding your own data tables, this is a potential important part for you to review. All right, so I'm going to head back to my report view, and then I'm going to talk about these three tabs on the right-hand side. So you'll have the data, visualization, and then filters. For the data table, this is the most common, right? You can expand out to see the different metrics. The visualization, this actually will build the chart, and when we click on a chart, you'll see here in a second. And then if you need to do filters for whichever visual you're working with, this is the filter one. But these are the three you're going to use on the right-hand side. Okay. So hopefully I've given enough time for people to get, or majority of folks to get their data loaded in. But I promise I'm not speeding through this. First place we want to look up here is top left. This is the date filter. Now, this is different than the days back parameter we looked at in the Power Query transform data section. And this doesn't change how much data that gets pulled in. This is only just quick filtering based off the days you put here. This was a common question when we first released it. People weren't quite sure how to use it. But that's what this does here. So this doesn't actually change the data that gets pulled in. It's just filtering in the data that you have. So if I only pulled in 60 days, so if I put a big number here, that would not have changed the actual data I pulled in, right? So that's the date filter. You'll see the date filter on multiple dashboards, but that's what that is. If I do want to do a filter here for product category, this is for the pending ticket charges. A lot of people who do pending ticket charges, you need to potentially separate or understand the difference between hours or labor versus hardware, right? So we added a easy product category here for you here, and then these are the different cards. And so we'll look at this next. All right, so next we'll the cards and the visuals. So this visual is the one I want to focus on. Whenever you click on a visual, you'll see it lights up over here in the visualization tab. You'll see, I know it's real hard probably to see on mine, but it's boxed which visualization this one is, and I could change it to another one if I wanted to. But this is a column chart, and then the data that is being used is here in these boxes here. So if I want to, where is this tech name? Well, when you hover over it, it's going to give you a tooltip. So this is in the technician. Tech name is the data point. So when I move over here, I can see it's check marked what table data is being used by this visualization. So it's a technician, and then I can come down here and up right here. So this is the one it's using. Obviously, if I declick it, you can see it automatically removes from there. Now, total billable hours, when I look at this one, it says measurement, and then it gives me the data it's using. So that's a different table. So I can come up here into measurements, and I can click into, these are calculations done based off the table data. So when I click into it, I can then read up here in the formula builder, it gives me how this is being determined, right? So you can understand how this metric was created. Cool. All right. Next is, now let's apply a filter. So I want to change how this data is represented in the visual, but I don't have to do a whole bunch of transformations on my data table. So in order to do that, use the filters tab. So this is our third tab over here. So with this selected, I'm going to go filters, and let me deselect the formula bar. Oh, and I deselected my thing. Okay. Make sure you have your visualization selected. I'll come filters here. Maybe I just want to focus on a subset of technicians, just these three here, this blank one, or maybe there's a certain number of techs I'm not particularly interested in for whichever visual I'm working with. So I'm gonna go ahead and click here, and then I'm just gonna select all and then deselect the blank. So this then gives you what you want to focus on, and you don't have to change or rearrange or any of the actual table data. All right, let me check my notes. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next data table. So I'm gonna come down here on this bottom row. We're gonna go customer profitability. So I'm gonna click here. All right, so first thing to look on this table, if you're like, oh, this doesn't look quite right, make sure you're checking your date. So here, for some reason, it defaulted to 9 weeks. That's not what I wanted for my example. I want 60 days. So I'm gonna go ahead and change that. Automatically fills out the table. Now, if you look here on this left-hand side, bottom left, numbers, you're like, oh, well, these numbers don't quite match with these numbers top left. Well, that's because a lot of my test data is from last year, and these formulas are looking revenue year to date, month to date. All right, so just make sure you are looking at how the formulas are created to understand maybe potential differences in the how it's calculated. But that was just something I was going through. I was like, oh, yeah, it's different. Well, it's this down here, bottom left, this is looking at all the data in my tables, which goes over both years, where these up here are just looking at the data from this month, right? So when we look at this gives you a nice profitability, like which customers you're making the most money. I can see here total revenue. I see some different data points. Okay, that's sure, but I don't really have a good grasp of, well, how many tickets are they potentially adding? So I want to change this to give me a little bit more understanding or reflection of how many tickets are these different people or different customers submitting. And I guess probably it's my guess, which I already know the answer, but the lowest profit is probably the most tickets. So how can you do this? Okay, so we're going to select this table. You'll see here in your visualization if you didn't have it collapsed. So here's that table I have selected. It has all my different data points. Now, luckily, there's already a measurement for you for this. And so I'm going to look at my measurement table. And the one I'm most interested is ticket count. And if I click here, if I want to see how ticket count's created, I can see it's a simple formula, just counting how many tickets are in the row. But now I want to add it to my table visualization. So I'm going to click and drag. I can drop it right in the visual if I want, or I can also just drop it right here. All right. Oh, I put it at the end, but I want to put it to the top, so I'm just going to drag it up to the top. And now I have a nice ticket count. How many tickets? And I can also sort now by this table. And as you probably predicted, the individual with the most tickets created are the lowest profit per ticket. Hopefully it's giving you an idea how you can play around with some of this. There are some other filters you can do. So like if I want to remove or highlight certain ones, if I want to drill into a specific one, so just this one, so I can click. When I choose that particular organization, it auto applies the filters for me and only showing me the information about the one I selected. Well, they don't have any revenue. I haven't built anything for them this month, so that's why it's showing that. Deselect, and then it would then go back. The data filter would then go back to everybody. Okay, check my notes. We did that one. All right. Next exercise. We're going to go to the next table, asset overview. All right, asset overview. All right, here we go, asset overview. So let's take a look, and let's say for a good example is, you know what, I kind of like this manufacturer's data, but I'm not in love with the bar chart. I'd rather it be a pie chart. So let's select my manufacturer's data here, and let's change the visualization. So I'm going to go ahead, let's change to pie chart. All you do is simply click on the pie chart right here in this visualization, and it will automatically adjust. Like, you know, I really don't love that either. Maybe I want the donut chart for whatever reason. So I'm going to click donut. This looks a little bit better than what I'm interested in. And also change the size too. So let's say we want to make it a little bit more prominent. I can. When I look through my manufacturers, I really don't want to see to be filled or blank. That kind of annoying me. I don't like that data for some reason. So how are we going to do this? We're going to do the filters, right? So with it selected, I'm going to go filters, manufacturers, and then I'm just going to remove the ones that I'm not interested in focusing on. So whatever blank was and whatever to be filled by OEM was. There we go. So now I have actually a lot easier to read and clear chart. So I'm happy with this. So then I can just kind of rearrange and go from there. If I do want to do a subset of customers or just show me Hedges MSP, like just show me their computers. When I select that, you can see it auto collapses here. See here, up here at the top, it also is adjusting based off the filters I choose. All right, hopefully that is a good example as well. Same idea if you want to change some of the data in the table, you simply select the table, give it a different data point by dragging and dropping over here. All right, moving on. Next one. All right, ticket overview. All right, so on that, I'm gonna go ahead and give myself a little bit more room so everyone can see. Again, first thing to probably look at is up here, this date section. So if this doesn't look quite right to you, make sure you are adjusting it to a more appropriate amount of days back to build the filter. And trying to make sure I see what I want to do with this. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and this gives you some nice information. I can see like, okay, who's updating tickets, open tickets. When I look at this table and I look at due date, it's like, well, I'm not in love with this format. I'm not particularly interested in the hours. I just need the actual date, right? What's a way I could transform this, or how do I easily configure adjusting this just to show? I just need the actual date, or maybe I just want something different. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to flip over to, on the left-hand side, the table view. So I'm going to go to table view. Now I know that was in the tickets data table. So I'm going to find it here on the right-hand side. And then I'm going to look for due date. So here it is right here. So I'm going to choose due date. And so this format I'm not liking. I want to actually change the format. So I'm going to come up here, format, and let's change something shorter. So I like shorthand date. Yeah, I definitely like that. That looks a lot cleaner and crisper. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. Then I'm going to go, yep, that did exactly what I want. So then I'm going to go back to my report view and beautiful. That's looking exactly like how I want now. So that gives you a little bit of idea how you can use that table view to then change some of the formatting of the data. All right, so I actually want to add a data point here. So let's add that data point we did with our ticket timers. So that's one thing here. I'm feeling like I want to know how much time is getting spent on some of these tickets. So I'm going to expand out my ticket timers, right? And you can actually, before I do that, let me click into my table. So one thing that I didn't quite mention yet is when you building out a table, we did look at this. You can see when I look at the different tooltips, it's telling me where the data lives, right? So here it says due date. This is in the tickets table, right? Well, what about this one? This one's a different table. So as long as your different tables have the appropriate column keys, and we've already built this out for you, but just to understand why it works this way, is the ticket ID is for ticket timers and tickets. There's a ticket ID, and it's actually hidden. So I did want to show this. So it's actually hidden. So I'm going to say view hidden. So ticket ID right here, Power BI automatically built the relationship with the main tickets table based off this ticket ID. All right, so that's why what I'm about to do, even though all this data is in the tickets column, right? The main ticket table, this works this way. And here's that calculation we did together. And I'm going to drag and drop this here, and we'll see it correctly builds out the different the time in the format we wanted. All right, so hopefully there's a little more advanced concept, but hopefully this makes sense, right? So the ticket ID is the same, and that's why the technician's in a different table, because what's actually in the ticket table itself is actually technician ID. And let's see if I can find that. So tech ID, that matches with the tech ID here in the technician table. That's why I can use the tech friendly name, Even though it's in a different table, that's why it's correctly slicing my data for me. All right. All right. And the sum, if you ever see sum of variables, if you don't want it to do it, it's just auto doing a sum for me down here. So let's say Daniel Hedges, this technician, I want to see what his tickets are. So when I click his name, the ticket table here auto collapses for me, showing him just him, and I get a nice little summary down here of just his time. All right. Well, hopefully that is a good, fun example for most folks. And I have a couple more to go through, and then we can do questions. I'm doing great on time. All right, so here's the final dashboard, the ticket, the technician performance. Again, make sure you're looking at your date so this is correctly pulling the different data you're looking for. First thing I see here is look like I got a whole bunch of blank tickets for some reason in my data. And or you just maybe want to focus this on a certain subset. So I'm going to go ahead and click into this visualization. I'm going to come over to my filters. Let's go ahead and remove the blank individual. There we go. So yeah, this is looking making a lot more sense to me. And I want to see who's doing all my on-site tickets for some reason. Actually, let's give myself a little bit more room so you guys can see on-site. So I click on-site. You'll see it automatically highlights that portion of the data for me. And this works, a lot of the visualizations work this way. So Tim the Tech, I click on him, and I can see over here, the correlating visual automatically adjusts. Gonna make sure, what did I have? Add a new filter. We did do the filter for this one. Here in the cards, if you want to, I know we already talked about this, but when you click on the cards, you can see where the data is coming from. And then if you want to see, oh, how's this getting calculated? You can come over here, click on the measurement for the card you're looking for, and you can see the calculation up here. And for some reason, this did not. There you go. All right. Last but not least, I did want to just do one quick, okay. I'm really interested in this. I kind of want to build my own visual. Like, where should I even start? And we can have Q&A. So that's what we'll go through next. So you can hit this plus button. It's going to build you a blank canvas. My recommendation to start is just to use simple tables. This is how I started and how I was like, oh, it's I like this. So click your table visualization here. It just looks like a grid. I usually would start with something that makes sense. Maybe you would traditionally think about in Excel, but I'm going to expand out my table like this. Then maybe I'm interested in some ticket data. So I'm going to go tickets. I want to, let's hide some of the IDs. I don't need the IDs. But ticket, so ticket number. So I'm going to click drag and drop. It's going to build it out for me. Definitely want the ticket subject. Also want the ticket status. And let me see what else what I might be interested in. Let's start with just that for now. All right, so that's a really simple table you can build. Well, I want to build another slicer or a quick filter against this table. So it's easier for me to kind of just narrow down to the exact data I want. So I'm going to click back up here in this white section. I'm going to go click again into the table. I'm going to build a new table. And I'm going to change this to actually be tall and skinny instead. And when I do that, what I actually want to put in here is the filter I'm most interested in. So for today, I'm going to do organization name. Now, again, if the tables are correctly associated, which we did for you, but you can use the dimensions table. So I want the customer data, and I'm going to go ahead and drag organization name. There we go. So I only want to see Hedges MSP from my list. I'll go ahead and click it. And you'll see here, it collapses the table for me, highlighting just those tickets for this particular client. And then you can do this with other visualizations too. So let's go ahead over here. I think ticket count was one we did, right? So here, nice ticket count number. Then when I click a particular client, it will then adjust the visual for me. So this is a good way to start just with one simple visual that you might be interested in. have maybe one filter table here and then your records table down here. And you can maybe mix and match. Let's say one more thing I was interested in is the ticket timers. So I want, actually, no, I do have a good idea here for us potentially. So maybe I want to see ticket charges if it was invoiced or not. So that's ticket charges converted. So converted is the thing I'm looking for. And well, it looks like I don't have great data for the example, but this would be invoiced false. It should say true and false, but if it says true and false, hopefully you have better data than me. Then you can just say, just show me the ones that were actually invoiced. And that would change the table for you down here. All right, so that is the end of my prepared demo. We still have plenty of time. So I think I am open for questions. And this is probably the worst part I am with Zoom. So any help from the team would be
Yeah,
great.
Daniel, I can
Q&A.
help. I'm
Okay.
happy to help. Chen and Vance have done a great job of answering a bunch of questions while they're coming in. But please, everyone, continue to submit your questions. There's a number of questions around limiting data or having trouble with the reports unless you limit kind of the queries or the amount of time to last 3 months or short periods of time. Do you have any recommendations, Daniel, on things people can do to look over longer periods of time?
Yes. So it does depend on what exactly data you're looking for. If it's ticket charges, I'll just be upfront, that's going to be your one of the more challenging large data sets you have to pull. But if it's not ticket charges, right? Some of the other ones, if you have a couple of the folks, I think when we first launched it, they had like 40,000 records for some things, and that can make it slow. I would say try to start with something small first and make sure you're getting the expected result or at least some of the representation, like ticket charges that you're most interested in. Once you've done that, then come back into your Power Query and then let's actually go back. Let's go back 180 days. And you might take 5 minutes or so for it to actually pull in all those different ticket charges. Hopefully that helps. If for some reason you're getting errors and or you don't think it's working right, like create a support ticket. I will work your support ticket. It will come to me. I will contact you. We can work through it together. You can post in the community. So that's an open invitation to everybody. Like, don't feel like you have to do it on your own. We did try to test with somewhat large data sets, though. I will say some of you guys do have huge data sets from a very long time. So, I would try to use that days back parameter. That's why we put that in there. Start small and incremental up. And you see, I did put 6 months back, and this one is taking a little bit more time for it to kind of churn through. One other, I guess, pro tip or suggestion I have about this when you're doing this, and that's why I didn't want to do a long time, is do your days back longer in the Power Query section. I'll show that once it decides to cooperate with me here. And then do the data preview here we go. So hopefully I can show this now. So let's say I want to do a big data set, but it's not loading right when I try to load everything at once. So do your bigger days back, like, I don't know, let's say you want to do a whole year's back, and then come in here and click on the data set you're most interested in. That way it kind of queries and gives you the preview, and it's easier to see bottom right. Okay, yeah, it's pulling my data. All right, and it gives you a nice little preview. So that's another kind of quick tip or trick you can do if you feel like you have a very large data set and it's giving you some trouble. Change it and then just click the preview and make sure it can load. And just give it some time. That way it doesn't have to go through all of them sequentially. I think Chen also posted if you do have a large data set and you have the parallel loading where it tries to do all the API calls and all at the same time, you can get the timeouts. So make sure you turn that off. I do forget exactly how to navigate there, but I believe it's in the file settings. Chen has a nice post in the community. So that's another recommendation as well. Make sure the parallel loading is off so you don't get the API time limit. As long as that's off and you do this data preview, you can see ticket charges is taking a while for it to churn through all this here. I see bottom right here. Here, I can see it incremental up, so I know it's working. And just have to be a little patient. There we go. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome. And Chen also answered in the chat here. So you should be able, if you have the Q&A module open, you should be able to see her answer to the question as well around the parallel loading as well. So she linked directly to the community post. So in case you need it, there's a good one there.
And I do see some open questions like, hey, I'm getting an error. If you want to submit a support ticket, that will come to me and I will contact you. We can work together to maybe figure out why you got an error. I'll give you an example. Sometimes it's not quite so obvious at first. We had a support ticket I looked at with a partner. I kept getting an error. I was like, oh, why is he getting an error? Well, we looked at his account together. He has no line items in his invoices. He doesn't use invoicing. So it would error out every time because that's not a part of the Syncro platform he uses. So we needed to turn off that table load for him, and then it worked correctly. If you don't want to do a support ticket, also okay, create a community post. You can @ me, just @ Daniel, and it will message me directly. We can work together to figure out why your particular template is not working. So that's an open invitation for everybody.
All right, Vance, I think you were going to take a question. And then Daniel, I have a couple for you.
Yeah, I see here. Jeff is asking if the templates contain all of the data values that we can get from the API. No, it does not. We had created these templates to have some specific use cases in mind. So the 5 dashboards that we have at the bottom, we're leveraging the API to pull that data in. I will put in the chat here a link to our public API documentation if anyone wants to see that and look at any of the other options that we have for pulling data in. But yeah, these templates are not using all of the available data through the API.
If you want to see more data, create a community post, broken record here, and tell me what you want. We'll add it. We had a poster last week says, I need more technician data about my technicians. I was like, oh, when I originally did it, or we didn't do the right API call to bring in all the details. Then I was able to add it on the new version. There's another template I did called the Easy template, and that will pull Microsoft M365 license. It pulls some other different data points. And I think over time we want to add them all in here. We did want to keep it somewhat focused so you're not overwhelmed with 50 data tables. Like, okay, well, which ones am I supposed to look at, right? Try to get the most useful ones. But just let me know, and I can even maybe we do even do a walkthrough, another one of these to show you how you can do that yourself if you want. But yeah, just reach out, let me know, and we'll add whichever data points you want. I'll give a teaser. Vance and team just added Windows Update data to the API. So I think this weekend I might be playing with that and seeing how we can get Windows Update data into the Power BI template. So teaser maybe for next week.
Nice. That'll be really exciting, Daniel. Okay, so Darren has a question. The goal is to use this for clients so that they can see their assets and their ticket info. But they don't want to include any ticket charges or do specific. And they rely on a bunch of custom fields for tickets. What's the best way to
Yes.
add something like this?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a brief explanation. I will help you with this. That's 1. 2, I made a post on how to do it. So that's 3. But essentially what you have to do is you have to add a new parameter that when it pulls your asset and ticket data in, it's limited to only one customer, right? That's how you can get the focus. And this isn't hard to do. Like I said, I made a quick post on it a while ago. I will help you do it. But then once you do that, you can build the representation the way you want, but then you can actually post this, figure out exactly where this is, but you can actually publish it. Here it is right here. So you can publish this to the web version of Power BI and you'll have a public shareable link and you can use Syncro's end user portal to actually share that with them. So they log into the portal. I think let me actually show this. I think I can actually show this. This was not prepared, so don't hold it against me if it doesn't quite work right. But yeah, you could totally do this. It's not particularly hard. Just takes out a little initial setup here for you. But I think I can show this. Actually, no, I can show it right here. Okay, so what you do is you need to make a documentation. So here we go. So this is a documentation. Here's a sample one. I think I even did custom fields here. Yeah. So like power plan, this is a custom field. Assets here is a custom field. And to get this into the community, right? I just made it available on the customer portal for one specific client. And to get this, it's super easy. Once you got your public link, they give you a copy paste. So you just come insert or formula somewhere you can put the source code. Here you go. View source code. And I just copy pasted this simple thing. And then this is available on the client portal for the end users. So yeah, check out my one post about it, a walkthrough. You can ask me at me in there. I'll give you, if you want to meet and go through exactly what your use case is, we can do that. Don't feel like you're on your own here. So here from the customer portal point of view, it's making me log in, which isn't probably right. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but they could see it there in the documentation if you shared it and they had the right permissions. I do see a question from Robin, like, should I create a support ticket to have someone help me build? You can. That will come to me if you want, if that's the way you're most comfortable. You can totally do that. I will help you. If you want to create community posts, I would say that's probably better. So we get more people can help you. But it would also be me, it'd be Chen, the whole team here. Now, if we can't do it, we might have to circle back depending on what exactly you're looking to do. But yeah, anything's open as long as it's something we can do. I'll help you do it. So up to you how you want to engage. You can email me if you really want. Daniel.hedges@syncromsp.com. So look forward to talking to you, Robin. Is there a full guide for creating the API key and connecting it to the Power BI file? Also, troubleshooting things when they go wrong with the connection. So I did go through that in the very beginning of the call. I can make a more. I'll have if you want, we can chop up the recording of this and have that for you.
We can also
But
check in our docs in our KB and our doc center, and if it's not there already, we can work on making sure there's a very clear and straightforward way for how to do that, Peter. So, yeah, we can put something together, and we'll make sure you get a post, or if it's on our knowledge base.
we'll help you troubleshoot it too. So like, let's find the time we can work together so it's working for you. Uh, are you able to create custom calculations when building a custom page? So yes, you can. It is a little bit more than what I wanted to go through today. But essentially what you can do, it's not too much different than how you build out Excel formulas. But you can find a particular data point maybe you're interested in or a particular table. You can go new measurement. There's actually a few different interesting ways to do stuff like that. I would probably recommend you to go new measurement, and that would actually bring up the formula builder here for you. Thought that was a little advanced to go on today, especially if people never use Power BI. But if there's an interesting thing you potentially want to calculate, I think posting in the community is a great question, and I will help you build a formula to do that. Does this work with the you can answer that one, Chen. I see you selected that.
The online, I saw a couple people mentioning about that. The short answer is no, you cannot use the online to transform your data since you will have to swap out your API keys in subdomain. You need to have a desktop version to do that. Once you have the templates ready and you can share that to the online so that can be viewed.
Yep, correct. Yep.
Awesome. Well, we've gotten through I think we've gotten through all of the questions. So if anyone has anything else, please please feel free to ask it in the Q&A module. Otherwise, come over to the community and ask questions. Daniel has said that a bunch of times, but
Yes.
Chen's there. I'm there. We'll talk about Power BI. Vance is there. A ton of other people are there on our team. We monitor it. You talk about Power BI. You can ask questions about anything else too. Happy to answer or give feedback or hear anything that you want to talk about. We love getting feedback from all of you. It helps us guide what we're going to work on. It helps us improve our roadmap, all of the things that you want to do to make Syncro better for you. So please come over, hang out on the community with us. And then good luck on getting all of your Power BI reports set up and let us know what's working for you and what else you want to see next. We really appreciate every one of you joining. And there will be a recording that we will post after this. So thank you very much.